Hey, my legion, how y'all doing today? Movie review time again. First of all, see Deadpool. If you that's the shit. Deadpool is fantastic. Um, but I have two remakes to make. Two remakes to review, and it's a remake of My Bloody Valentine and also a remake of Conan the. I almost said Conan the O'Brien. A remakes of My Bloody Valentine and Conan the. I almost said it again. Conan the Barbarian. So you say Conan O'Brien or Conan the O'Brien. Conan the Barbarian. So I'll probably be making that mistake throughout the whole video so you get a good laugh. Well, anyways, I want to start off with the remake of My Bloody Valentine. I saw it on. I know these came out a while back. That came out in 2009. And I was checking out on demand, cutting edge on demand. They have IFC on there, and they have, you can go down. They have movies, and they have the movies on there. They have commercial breaks, but they're always uncut and not edited for time, even though they speed up the ending credits. But if there's something extra, they'll show what's in there. Well, anyways, that's one of the. I think My Bloody Valentine is probably one of the decent remakes of the classic film. I love the original slasher film, My Bloody Valentine, and then I think My Bloody Valentine, the original one from '81, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the best of the standalone slasher films. And when I say standalone slasher films, I'm talking about slasher films that came out that didn't have any sequels or anything like that. Not the franchises like Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, or Prom Night. They all had sequels. But this was one of the great standalone slasher films, right up there with Visiting Hours, Night School, and what was the other one? Terror Train. And I love the original My Bloody Valentine. That My Bloody Valentine gets a 10 out of 10, the original one. Now, the remake is pretty good. It's a lot bloodier. It seemed like they didn't get away with a lot. Back then, with the Friday the 13th and stuff like that, they were always threatening to give them an X rating if they don't cut out the violence and stuff, the blood and stuff. And I guess that I was reading a review and they said they cut out a lot of violence to give it an R rating. To avoid it getting an X rating. I would like to see some of these movies uncut. I know there's an uncut version of the original Friday the 13th around there somewhere. I'd never seen it, but it's a popular, but it is out there. But the remake is really good, a lot bloodier. It gets a little far-fetched a little bit and cartoonish, but it's very entertaining. Nowhere near as good as the original, but it moves along at a good pace. It involves the miner that dies in this cave and at the mine, and he goes out on a killing spree. They said he died and stuff like that, but he comes back and he killed a whole bunch of miners when they were trapped in there. Harry Warden, and it's actually pretty good. I don't mind it. I don't like giving away much plot point or spoilers and stuff like that. Just to let you know why I think of it, because I want you to experience it on your own. But before seeing it, definitely see the original. The original is the best one. And there's little homages to the original and the remake. And it was really weird because BloodyDisgusting.com, or they have a horror movie thing. They have a channel on YouTube, which I didn't know about. And they had like the top 5 horror films to see on Valentine's Day. And of course, My Bloody Valentine be number 1 and stuff. And they were saying that the remake was a shot-for-shot remake. That's a lie. That's not true at all. It's completely different from the original one. And they try to humanize the killer, which is weird, really weird. They do that in the newer ones. But, I mean, it's pretty good for what it is. I give it a mild 7.5 out of 10 for My Bloody Valentine. I mean, it's just weird. They just try to... I remember Roger Ebert was talking about the remake of House of Wax, and they said they're always trying to tell you what made the serial killer be the way he is. And he was saying they always do that. And then he said in the original one with Vincent Price just was a killer because he liked doing it. And then they're always trying to explain why they become the way they are, and like the remake and stuff. The remake of House of Wax wasn't bad. The ending was really cool. But the original one with Vincent Price is much better too. Anyways, let's go on to the remake of Conan the Barbarian that came out in 2011. I know my one friend Ryan was really excited to see it, and they had a big campaign for it until it opened up in theaters, and it was a major flop. I said, I thought Conan, I almost said again, I thought Conan the Barbarian came out of my friends. I guess it did. It didn't last very long. It only made like $21 million, which is a lot of money. And, but I mean, compared to Hollywood, I'm sure they spent more money than that to make it. Lots of CGI. Morgan Freeman did narration in it. And it's pretty good. It's not, it's nowhere near good as the original. Nowhere near good as the original. But, there's lots of fighting in it and blood and gore. And the biggest problem is the Conan O'Brien character. God damn, I said again, the Conan the Barbarian character. They picked to play a guy. It's kind of boring. Reminded me a lot of Roman Reigns. Because I don't think Roman Reigns is that interesting. I'm sorry for all the Roman Reigns fans out there. He reminds me of Roman Reigns. He can fight real well. Just like in the movie. And then, I don't know. It showed you how much... there's no real plot development or character development. Very minimal. But the storyline's very minimal too. It's all fighting, pretty much. Which isn't bad. And good and stuff like that, but it's nowhere near good as the Arnold Schwarzenegger one. Arnold Schwarzenegger was really cool as Conan. And I give probably the remake of Conan the Barbarian probably a very mild 7 out of 10. I love the original one. The original one's 10 out of 10. And the original Conan the Barbarian was actually really the Conan movies were the only franchise that really got any respect out of Hollywood that came out in the theaters for Marvel. I keep forgetting about that because, they had Howard the Duck that came out of the big flop. I liked Howard the Duck. I don't care. And then they had the Punisher with Dolph Lundgren, which was really boring. And then that Captain America movie with Ned Beatty in it. And Reb Brown, I think, or Reb somebody. Which I didn't mind. I didn't mind that movie, but it took a while for Marvel to get up there, except for the Conan movies, to get up to that. And Red Sonja was a flop, too. To get any real respect until Men in Black came on. Then I think that Marvel started getting a lot more respect and a lot more movie offers and stuff like that. But the original Conan the Barbarian was a great movie. It got a lot of protests from parents pissed off at how violent and how much sex and nudity was in the movie because it was their kid wanted to go see it, and they should have had a red flag. It was an R-rated movie for a reason. And I love the look of the film. It was very gritty. And there was protests. Parents were mad that their kids wanted to see the Marvel film and it was R-rated. And then it led way, like 2 or 3 years later, to Conan the Destroyer, which was PG-13. Still PG-13, but more family-friendly, But both the Conan the Barbarian movies are much better than the remake. Even though the remakes, though, were all right. It's not boring by any means. But, it could have been better. And the guy who plays Conan is not interesting in the remake. So, there you have it from our reviews of... Oh, there she is. I wonder where Maggie is. Maggie sometimes sinks into the couch. I got a really cool video called Maggie versus Sunbeam coming up. Really cool. So, there's my movie reviews of the remakes of My Bloody Valentine and Conan the Barbarian. Not as good as the original, but not bad. It could always be better, but the originals stand out. The only real, as far as the slasher films, the only real remake that I thought was better than the original was Prom Night. And Prom Night didn't do anything at the box of the remake. The original one I thought was boring. I think I mentioned that before with that Prom Night and Prom Night 2 Hello Mary Lou video review I did a long time ago. I've seen Prom Night, the original Prom Night, a couple of times, and it was really boring. I don't know how it got an R rating because some of these movies were, it should have just got PG-13, but PG-13 didn't exist back then. Very boring film. I didn't care for it. The sequels were much better, and the remake for Prom Night is pretty decent average, not boring at all, until like the last 40 minutes, and the last 40 minutes are awesome. Lots of tension and suspense. Really good the last 30 minutes, 40 minutes of the movie. Completely different. from what you'd expect. But I mean, the remake of Prom Night didn't do anything at the box office. But I mean, that's just the way it is. Like I saw, I remember House on Sorority Row, which was all right, and then they did a remake of Sorority Row, which I thought was still pretty good. But oh well. But there you have it for my movie reviews. I hope you like them. So until next time, bye, please. Take care of my Legion.